It's 10 a.m., so time to get started. If anyone has any questions, if you just want to raise your hand and let us know. If anyone's gonna start us off today, question. Okay, I see Amanda has her hand up. So Amanda, do you want to get us started?
Yeah, so we've got some reminders that we've put on events, and when the automatic reminder goes out, it's still showing, it still says from our association, but it's got our old president's email in there, and I cannot find the right place to change it.
What chapter are you with?
Iowa, IPPA.
All right. Let's see what we can see here. Oops. All right, so if we are, I wonder then if it's defaulting to one of these email addresses. It's like Carl Wendt.
Oh, well, now where's that one?
This
Shoot.
is in control panel chapter, and then you go to name and description. And then this is like the default email address for any emails that don't have, where it's not clear who it should be coming from.
Okay.
Isn't that also part of the setup, Michael? When you first set up your site, you put that information in. So it could be that Carl put that in when he set the site up. So
perfect. Okay, I've been trying to write down all the places that when I need to change every year when there's a new board, but I missed this one. Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah. You're very welcome. Yep, it's an easy one to miss.
Jenny, you have a hand up?
Yeah. Sorry, I was still keeping up from that previous one. We just scrolled really fast. Do you mind? Because I was trying to make notes. So we're on the control panel, and because I'm doing the same thing.
Yep. Chapter tab.
Chapter, okay.
And then name and description.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I was actually asking one of my folks to go, who is getting all the info at ynigp.org? Because when I go to our contact us, I can't see that email address. So do we intentionally hide that so nobody knows where the info goes? I'm not sure.
It's not intentional. It's just that it's not used very often. This is kind of like this is the way your website was originally set up. So there's a lot of important information here, but once it's set up, it's rarely referenced again. So this probably is the only fields that would change over time.
Okay. Oh, I see it now too. All right, it was Reagan.
Okay.
All right, my real question, and that was from the Washington State chapter if they're in the room. Let's see, my question for the day. So I was wondering, we want to take advantage of using videos to post on our website. We are still in the process of trying to set up a YouTube channel. Is that necessary in order for us to post a video in ClubExpress or not necessarily?
If you want to embed the video so that it's playable within a page on your website, then it has to be hosted either in YouTube or Vimeo or one of the video hosting platforms, because those platforms will automatically reformat the video for the different screen sizes, whether it's mobile or a tablet or a Chromebook or whatever it is. Whereas we aren't going to put the effort into developing that because they do it so well, so why recreate it?
Okay.
So it does require that you use Vimeo, and YouTube are the most commonly used ones. We really haven't played around with any of the other ones to see if they work.
Sure. No, I'm familiar with both. Okay, that sounds great. And then kind of on tag of that, video, I noticed there's also a thing called photo albums or photos.
Yeah,
what is the actual intent of that?
Photo albums is a way of organizing photos. So when you're uploading photos, you obviously don't want to have like I do, under my bed, there's a giant box full of printed photos and none of them are organized. So if you don't want that to happen, then you would use photo albums to organize them. So you'd say, our reverse trade show from 2023, these are all the photos from that. Or, it's just a great way to organize things. And then if you want, you can even allow members to upload photo albums too. It's not that when we're talking about professional organizations, it's not that common that they would use that, but
Right.
a lot of our other customers use the member photo albums as well.
Okay, great. That helps. Thank you so much.
Sure.
I'm going to add on to that, Ginny, in terms of the video embed. Do you know how to grab the embed code from YouTube in order to embed that on a page?
I believe I do.
Okay.
The one of the ones I'm trying to actually upload is our recent Teams procurement summit, because FBI wouldn't allow for Zoom. And so when we recorded, they were a speaker. We had to record it in Teams on my SharePoint site, which is another challenge. But yeah, well, please feel free to show
So
it.
I think, Michael, it might be helpful to show how to
That would be
embed
awesome.
on
Yep.
Thank you.
ClubExpress.
Which I am. So I just grabbed this random one, how to make a great Southern meatloaf, this video off of YouTube. And if we go to the share button and click on embed, this is the code that you want. And you're going to grab that entire bit of code and you're going to put it onto a custom page. Now, I don't have a custom page I can really, well, Iowa, you're going to be my guinea pig. So I'm going to create a new custom page here. And we're going to do test media embed. And we're just going to edit it. I'll grab some code. We'll do a 50-50. And then the widget we're going to use is the media widget right here. And then where you grabbed that embed code, you're going to paste it in right here. Wait, that wasn't it. Let's go back. Share, embed. Oh, I'll just hit the copy button. And then we're going to go back, paste it in, apply the changes. And then there, it just embeds the video. So then when we make that page active and look at it, we'll look at it here. We can see it embeds the video and we can play it right there on the page.
I assume there's a spot there to put a title to what the video is somewhere on that page.
Well, you can, it's going to automatically grab everything from the YouTube video. If you want, you can certainly edit the page and add, if we were to, let's edit it. I'll grab another 50-50 panel, put it over the top and put in the text.
So is 50-50 the recommended sizing? So
not
it's not so
necessarily.
big? Oh,
No,
okay.
I just grab it. It was
Okay.
random.
Okay. Yeah, and that may be another lesson for the day of like what are all these widget means? Because there's a lot of menu there. Okay.
Sure. Yep, that's for sure.
So because this is a YouTube, that's the best scenario. Mine is Teams. Any experience on Teams link where it's coming saved in my SharePoint? And because I know I'm able to like share the link externally, but
Yeah, I think you're
yeah, sorry. I just realized I was on mute. So because my scenario is Teams currently and I saved it on SharePoint, like, is there a experience on that, on how we can make that happen?
I've never done it. Doesn't mean it can't be done, but I've never done it. So if you have a way to, if you have a way to grab the embed code, it might very well work.
Okay.
So,
yeah, no, I will do that. I will let you know.
And a lot of that's going to depend on the permissions where the actual video is stored within your SharePoint.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I did change the security parameters. Like I didn't want it to expire, things like that. That was one of the first things I did.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I'll play around with that. Thank you so much.
Okay. Yep, you're welcome.
Thank you, Ronnie, also.
Sure. Gretchen, you have your hand up?
Yes, thank you. So I'm with Co-op and we were working on our contact list. And one of our committee chairs is vacant. So I tried to establish it as a vacant chair, but you have to insert a member name. Is that correct?
I don't think so. And this is in the committees module then, right?
Yes. The contact us.
Oh, yeah, and contact us, you do have to have a one, but in the committees module, you don't. So if you're talking about, wait, yeah, contact us. Even in contact us, I don't think you have to have one. Which one was going to be vacant?
Education.
Yeah, right here, mark later.
Yeah, he's the president, so I put that name in for the time being. But you have to select a member.
I see. Yeah, in order to get around that, click add, just go to education chair, and we'll use the title, and then click save. Oh, it does force it. You know what? I thought we've had them where you didn't have to. Yeah, apparently you do now.
Okay, I wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something.
You could also create a temporary, like a dummy member just called vacant, you know,
I thought
and then
about
you
that
could
crossed my
assign them.
mind, but would NIGP be charged for that member then?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
would.
Okay. That was my question. Thank you.
Okay, yep, you're welcome.
Kaliska, you had your hand up?
Yes. So in ours and for Oregon, we under member types, we adopted the agency, so that folks could make, one payment on behalf of folks for their
Yep.
agency. So now what we're running into is, because obviously A is the first one in the alphabet and the member types are alphabetized. Um, agency seems to be people's default when they're signing up for membership, and we don't want that.
Oh, I see. Okay, so then we're going to go into member types.
Yes.
And you're going to change the display sequence. And so which one do you want to be the
regular?
Regular? Okay, so we'll pop that to the top then.
Perfect. And then can we, okay. And then I don't want agency to be second either. I'm thinking maybe associate, just because I don't want people to like pick that because we're having to change it. So, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome. Easy fix. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Michael, this is Jennifer. Before we go to Ronnie, to another question, the question that was asked about creating the vacant spot and whether they would be charged for the assessment. Because we do charge for chapter only members, when you would fill out your roster or send that to us in the form, we would not charge you for a member that's not existent.
So Jennifer, that's has to do with the number of members in terms of ClubExpress charging.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to assessment. Okay, that was my misunderstanding. Sorry, I didn't think that
not
through.
at all. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Not at all.
Yep.
Nope, not at all. So sorry, Sean, I think you're next in line, but I'm going to jump in because there was a question before you in chat. So Sean had asked, we are looking at using the newsletter feature. Is there any best practices in setting up a newsletter and setting up an email alert to all members?
The newsletter, it depends on what we're talking about with the newsletter, because a lot of the chapters are using the emailing module for their newsletters. So are they talking about using the news articles for the newsletter?
Yes,
you're
the
talking
news
about
articles. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And like having it embedded on the site. And then also like, how do we then say, hey, we have a newsletter for you to go look at?
Yeah, that's great. In the emailing module, I'm just going to grab, let's see, do we have an old draft? Yeah, here's an old draft. There is built into it where is it? Oh, shoot. Where is it? We used to have, there was a news article thing where you could insert.
There is, I think, is it in the
It's under-
HTML?
Yeah, it might be under the HTML. So I'm going to put in the HTML panel. And then when we click on the pencil for the HTML panel, here it is right here. So there's and so you just select what the news article is, and it'll insert basically the teaser, which is the short description of the news article, and it'll automatically build the link so that people can click on it and take them to the article.
Okay.
Yeah. I know it was in there somewhere.
Does that answer your question, Sean? Yes?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's really good idea to use the news articles module for those types of things like the newsletters. And then it also, going forward, you're going to have this access to this page, which will allow you to see the archived ones as well.
Yes, that's what we want to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Sean, you have your hand up.
Yes, good morning. I'm with the Central Florida chapter, and I have a question about events. We have a reverse trade show, and we're wondering if it's possible to add optional items like internet access or additional.
Yeah. I think that absolutely. So when you set it up, you're going to set up as a multi-activity event.
Yeah, we've done that. It just seemed like when we selected optional items, we had to include an additional person for that item.
If you use items, the person doesn't have to be assigned to it. Basically, it's like a widget, right? You just want to know the quantity for the entire registration. So when you're setting up activities and items, is you set it up as an item and not an activity. So you're going to click on new item.
Okay.
Then you're just collecting information on the item and not necessarily assigning it to a registrant.
Are we able to include a cost with that item?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to mess with this event. I don't know. Do you have an event that we could take a look at?
I mean, that's the actual event. I guess we could go with a.
Oh, was that the actual event?
Yeah.
That
November one. I mean, I have no problem making changes to that event.
Okay. So if we go back to November here.
The vendor one.
There it is. Okay. So yeah, if we go down to activities and items, see, these are all activities, but you have one item, which was the lunch. And if we add another item, I'll just, this is going to be a sample item. And you can associate fees with it. You can determine how much people can order. So if you just want them to be able to select one, or you can say you can have one or a maximum of 10 or a maximum of 99. It just depends on how far you want to set it.
Okay.
And then you can determine a capacity. So this is great for when you're trying to sell booth space. Maybe you've got some 20 by 20 booths and you only have 4 of them. Then you can set a maximum, a capacity of 4.
Right.
So people can still register for them until they're used up.
Okay.
Yeah. So and then you can set questions for them too. Like, if it's a question about electricity, how many amps do you need? If you under the who can register, you're going to determine how much money they're going to pay for it. So what's the fee for it?
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So I'm going to delete that though.
Can I add on to that with a question, Michael? So would you recommend, if you're doing booth space for an exhibitor, for instance, that it be an item versus an activity, or does it matter? Because they both can limit, right?
I think it's best used as an item because you don't really care if it's tied to a registrant. It's basically for this registration, how many booth spaces do you need? Do you need a 10 by 10? Do you need a 20 by 20? Do you need something larger? And
Okay.
if you need larger ones, are there any available? You know, those are kind of the things you need to know. You know, if it's, you know, if you get like 2 lunches included with your booth space and you need to know, do you need additional lunches for additional staff? You know, do you need to know that type of information? So those would all be items. You don't care who, you don't care who the lunches were, you know, assigned to. You just care that how many boxes of sandwiches do you need to deliver? So.
Yeah.
This is Tabitha.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. You're looking at my page.
Oh, nice.
Hey, I had a question on this because I was going to ask later. But since you have my page up, so I did, if you scroll down a little bit, there's extra lunches for Gold and Diamond.
Yeah.
I could not find a way to, and I did it as an item, but I could not find a way just to attach it to only the activities of Gold and Diamond and no other activities.
The only way to do that would be to, when you go to who can register, you're going to create a Gold and Diamond here, like you have a Gold sponsor and Diamond sponsor. So then what you're going to do is when you're setting it up under who can register, you're only going to select, oh, you did Gold and Diamond. But you're going to want to do the other ones too, right here. Diamond sponsor 1 additional, Diamond sponsor with internet, Gold sponsor 1 additional. So you'll probably want to include those as well.
Okay, but it still shows up on the front page, and I don't want it to show up on the front page. I only want it to show up.
Unfortunately, it does. There's not a way to not have it show up on the front page if they don't qualify for it, but you could change the description of it. But I would think it's pretty clear, you know, lunch for Gold or Diamond, or you could say Gold or Diamond only. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, it's going to show up anyway. So you're talking about like down here where you list it.
Right.
Yeah.
So basically I made that as only admins can see that and to call us so we can do it for them because I don't want it available to anybody else.
It's not because of the registrant type.
Okay. All right. Next question.
Yeah.
I'll play around with it a little more. I think I've overextended myself on that one. Okay. Could you go when these activities come up and you are the vendor and not a member of the agency, it comes up 3 types of registration. So you're registering me, and another guest, and then it is I'm not registering me, but I'm registering others.
Right.
Is there any place on that screen that we can put a comment that do not use? Because what happens is you have an admin. Admin is doing this for the boss. So of course they say it's not me, but somebody else. And then basically what happens is they get to register for $0. We have to call them. We have to delete. We have to re-enter. It's a big mess. And people get to come in for free, which is a challenge. And is there any place on that page? I was trying to see if there's any spot anywhere.
There really isn't. What I would do is I would use the formatted description and maybe make it really, really obvious that
they're not going to understand it on this page, though. It needs to be showing on the page.
It shows right here when they go to oh, I see what you're saying.
Keep going.
Yeah, when you go to register now.
Yeah, I need something on this page. Even if I could make that payment edit, if there's any place anywhere.
There is not.
Because that, not me registering and somebody else, that is basically in somebody's mind.
Mm-hmm.
I
get the frustration. Your best bet is what we tell other organizations too, is to put it in the formatted description. Say, are you an admin registering for your boss or something like that? You know, and then give them specific instructions on what to select. It's kind of a pain, but until they get that, you know, they're logged in as their boss, right? They're not logged in, or they're registering their boss. they're not necessarily registering themselves. They have to pretend that they're the boss. So who are they registering, you know? It's kind of a gap in their I guess the way they're thinking about using the system.
Thank you.
Yep.
Cheryl, you had your hand up?
Good morning. This is Cheryl from the Tampa Bay chapter. I added new members to the system. They are currently pending payment. They're all set as primaries, but the primary on that agency wants to pay for all of these new members at once instead of having the individuals pay. If I move them all under the primary, won't it like show that they've paid their membership dues?
No,
Or
it won't.
it will, okay,
It'll move the responsibility for that payment to the primary. And
it will.
actually, it's kind of shared between, when it's done that way, between the initial person, and also the primary. Because what we do is, if we go into money options, there is an option here to, where is it? Oh, for credits and fees, they're all shared by all members in the same account. So we want to do that.
Okay. So if I change their type from a primary and put them under who the primary should be, it'll show that invoice is still open for all those.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'll
Yep.
fix that and I will contact them.
I would also kind of go through the payment page. So after you've taken those independent members and you've made them secondaries underneath the primary,
Okay.
click on the green $sign next to the primary and make sure the payment page looks the way you want it to look. Because it may not. It may, because they're all independent, they're going to appear as independent transactions on that payment page. And they may prefer that they all appear as a single transaction. And if that's
I think
the case,
they're okay if it's the single transactions under the primary that, it shows the total that they can pay.
Okay.
They don't need it just as one amount, but they just want to do one credit card payment for all their new members instead of having each member pay their own.
Okay. Yeah, that's easy enough to do. Yeah.
Let me try that and I'll come back if I have any other questions.
Sure.
Thank you.
So we have a question in chat. So I would like to create an online fillable form so that vendors can register, add some screen in the homepage as well, either company and POC's information and their logo. Our org can use that data to send invitations to vendors to sponsor events, get booths, etc. How do I do that?
In the communications tab, you're going to go to, this one is not configured. So if you don't see it here, you should see AdHoc Forms. If you don't see it, you're going to click on the blue handled wrench that says configure. And you're going to go down to AdHoc Forms, make it active, save it. And now you see AdHoc Forms. So you're going to create an AdHoc form for that. And when you create the form, we'll just do default category. And then if there's a fee for the form, there usually isn't, but if there is, we want to include attachments. So we're going to say save it. And now you can actually define what the attachments are going to look like with this little clipboard icon. And you can say, well, attachment number 1 is going to be your logo in PNG format. And then you can determine if it's required, save it. And then you can actually set up the questions that you want to appear in that form. And so this looks just like the additional member data section where you set up the questions and you say, okay, well, this is going to be question 1, and it's going to be, maybe a checklist. So check your favorite. Section 1. Selection 2, and then how many selections? You can have a minimum of 1, a maximum of 2. So then you just start building your AdHoc form.
Saba, did that answer your question? Yep.
It does. Could you just high level go, again, through the steps?
Yeah, so after you've created the first thing you're going to do is create the form, right? So you have to give it a name, and you're going to choose attachments. Yes, you want attachments. And then do you want to include the attachments with the emails? That's preference, whether you want to or not. And then you're going to have a contact person. That person is the one who is going to get an email when somebody fills out this form. And if you choose, we'll also get the attachments in that email.
There'll be someone in our organization, or who would that be?
Yep. Yeah, yourself, for example. So if you're the one who wants to get notified when somebody fills out this form, you'd put yourself in there. And then when somebody filled it out, go ahead.
Michael, can we use this for reporting so that we can, create lists and sort them and what have you?
Lists of what?
Whoever registered, and then we can use that to email them of upcoming events or things like that. Whatever the vendors are registered.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's what you're going to do. Create a mailing list category, and you're going to do that for this form. So we'll go to control panel, communications, mailing list categories. Okay. We're going to create a new mailing list category, and it's going to be for people who filled out that form. So you'd say vendor inquiry form or something like that. Okay. And then once you've created that, then you go to ad hoc forms. You're going to use that category here. So you're going to select vendor inquiry form as the category. Then when somebody fills out this form, they're automatically added to the non-member database, and they're assigned to this mailing list category. So when you go into the emailing module to email them, you can select those people who are in that mailing list category. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just trying to grasp all the steps here.
Yeah, there's a lot of steps, but yeah, it really works beautifully when it works. Oh, I clicked on the wrong box. But when you're choosing the distribution list, it's going to be non-members in a selected category. And then you're going to select that vendor inquiry category.
Okay.
As your distribution list.
I might have to hit you up again once I start developing this, but thank you.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
Jeannie, you had another question?
Yes. So I'm hoping the answer is the ad hoc forms. Michael, do you mind going to ynigp.org?
Which one was it?
Washington State chapter.
Okay.
ynigp.org. I don't think you've
Isn't that the one where you're, or no, it's the other one.
We fixed ourselves.
You did good. Okay.
Yeah. We scrambled, but we got it done.
I'm glad.
Yes, me too. It won't happen again for 5 years, but we'll be ready. Okay.
Okay.
So that's what happens when we have a change. Big change. Under scholarships page, which is member benefits. Yes. So if you scroll in the middle, you'll see we have attached our Word document, apply for a scholarship. Oh yeah, you were almost there. Sorry, it was in that blue spot. Yeah.
Oh, there
right
it is down
where
there.
you
Okay,
hit
got
apply. Okay. So currently it's kind of clunky. You hit apply and then it's attached to a Word doc. We'd like to steer away from that and actually do an online. So is that the same as the ad hoc form or?
I would totally do the ad hoc form for that. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
But that's not exactly the way you demoed it, or is it? The one
Well, yeah, because they had a very specific purpose for it. But
Right.
you're going to do the same thing. So you're going to create the ad hoc form, and then so we got to enable it because it's not enabled on yours.
Okay.
Active, save, boom, close. Okay, so now it's active. So you're going to create the ad hoc form that you want them to fill out. And it's important when you're creating ad hoc forms for everyone to know this. If a non-member is filling out the ad hoc form, the very first thing they have to fill out is their contact information. So you don't need to ask for it again inside the form. Just know that it's going to be asked. We're going to do it because we're going to put them into the non-member database. So all you really need to ask are the questions that aren't in the contact form. And if you ever want to know what it is, literally just go through it as a non-member. Make sure you log out, go through the ad hoc form as a non-member, and you'll see what's required.
Okay.
But yeah, so you're going to create the ad hoc form, and then once it's created, you're going to go to that scholarship page, and you're going to change that link to point to that ad hoc form going forward.
And to do that is.
I'm going to go down to here, boom. And then we're just going to put in, actually, I would do a new button.
Okay.
I hate editing buttons.
Sure.
But we're going to put a new button. And it's going to be ad hoc form. There it is, ad hoc form. And then you'll select the form. And then do button and say apply.
Okay. All right, we'll try that out. Thank you so much. That's super
you're
helpful.
welcome.
Dawn, you have a question?
Yeah, I have a plethora of questions. This has been great because we're just starting to move content over. My question is we have recurring events that we do, and I don't know if you have any best practices for setting up pages, publishing them, unpublishing them, like our reverse vendor trade show or our yearly holiday luncheon. Like, is there any best practices in setting up a page and then unpublishing it when we don't have that event active?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, no. I guess really what you have to do is when you want that page to be visible, right, you're going to add it to the menu. So it's going to appear on, in one of these drop downs. So you're just going to go to the menus module and add it to the drop down. So it's going to be at member benefits or whatever, wherever you're going to put it. And then when you no longer want it to appear, then you have to go back and edit it to remove it again. Now within existing pages, you can make panels visible and invisible, and you can do this on the home page as well. And I think this is something that's really way underutilized, where let's say we're editing and there's a panel that's on, it's the home page or a custom page or whatever, and that panel has information about the upcoming reverse trade show. So let's say this is going to be reverse trade show info. And whatever the info is, it doesn't matter, right? So what you do though is you click here and you have this row visibility. Right now, the row visibility is visible to everyone. So we're going to turn it off so it's not visible to anybody. And we're going to set a future row visibility. And we'll say on April 1st at 6 a.m., I want it to be visible to everybody. And now now it's visible to the public and the members April 1st at 6 a.m. And when I save it and publish that page, it'll be invisible because the current setting is invisible. And then it'll be visible on April 1st. And it'll only be that panel that'll, the rest of the page doesn't change, right? It's just all of a sudden that panel appears. Cool. And then you can also set it to go away after a certain time too.
Oh, like a sunrise and a sunset.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
So Michael, Tabitha's asking to their reverse trade show. This is Central Florida. She added an image to the formatted description and or rules, and it does not appear on the front end. Did she miss a step?
Let's see. That's for the vendor one?
Tabitha?
Because I'm not seeing the image.
Yes, scroll down.
Oh, down there. Yeah, no, that's the share image. That's not for the formatted description. This is used when you're trying to share it to like Facebook, for example. You're trying to share the information about the event. This is the image that would be associated with that share.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. So I did miss a step and I need to go back and add it into the text area.
Put it up here. Yeah. So, let's say we're going to put it up here. And do you remember what it was called?
No, but I'll find it. I'll do it.
And then once you create it, I can show you some cool tricks. So go ahead and do it, add it, and then let me know, and I'll show you some cool tricks with it.
Okay.
Is
will
there
do
anyone
that.
else? I don't see any hands up, or do we have any more questions? No more questions that I see in chat? No? Michael, did you want to pick from our list?
I have a list. Yep.
Yep.
All right. Points tracking. So some of the chapters are really taking advantage of the points tracking module that we created. Actually, yeah, we created it, but we created it just for NIGP. And it's a great module for being able to assign points. But what I think some of the chapters are getting a little bit confused on is when you're setting up your points categories, I think these are set up great, right? It's a chapter meeting and workshop, event, volunteering event, whatever it is, reverse trade show, social events. Then you don't want them to be overly specific so that they only apply to one type of event, but you don't want them to be overly general because, you know, your transcript is going to reflect that information. So I think in this case, these are really good categories. I like those. And then when you're importing, it's important to keep in mind that you can only import for events that are less than 90 days past the end of the event. So if you're trying to import for an event that happened at the end of last year, you're going to have a tough time doing it because the 90 days is past. So in those cases, you really are going to be stuck with manually entering those points and hours by using this. So it's important when the event's over, make sure you record the attendance and make sure that and then do the imports so that people can get their points right away.
And Michael, time points based on a full conference participation versus a 1-day participation or a 2-day participation.
Yeah, and those would be the categories too. So you could always say, you know, a category could be single day event. The other category could be full event because it's really just a descriptor for how you're applying it. Because when you're importing it, you determine how many points they're going to get. So you're going to select the category, whether it's, you know, single day event, and you're going to assign 4 points. That works out great. And that would work for if it's day 1 or day 2, right? Because it's just single day. It doesn't matter. You don't have to specify this is a day 1 event category or a day 2 event category, unless you have a need to track that. In most cases, you won't. So we just say single day, 4 hours or 4 points or whatever you're assigning, and you'll select the event and then import it from that. And then if it's full day, you could do the full day and select that and assign 9 points or 8 points or whatever it might be for the full day attendance or for the full conference attendance. So I think it kind of helps to think about it in that way so that you're not getting overly specific with the categories, and it's general enough that you can use it for different types of events and different day parts that they're attending.
Jenny, you had a question?
Yeah, I have clarification question, and I guess I want to be clear in my mind when we talk about points and hours here. Is the intent for the attendees to get CEU points, or is it just points for some other function? Because that's my other question, is that we just had an event, and from my understanding, in order to get CEU points, it has to be a true training event. Like there was a trainer that did a class and they get a 1 CEU points, but if it was a 4-hour event with all kinds of procurement activities, what is NIGP or UPPCC's call on what constitutes the CEU points? I do need clarification on that.
So Jennifer, you can jump in here, but I think these events can't really qualify for CEU. That the events that are on here are going to be, because you don't have ISET approval for training.
So all of the events that would be here would be hours or points or whatever it is that you wanted to distinguish. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jennifer.
That is correct. Yeah, for CEUs, you have to have them ISET accredited. That's why most NIGP courses are CEUs or college level, because they go through that level of approval to be able to offer that. So chapters on their own, unless they have gone through that rigorous process, are not offering CEUs. They're offering some type of contact hours. As far as what the UPPC will allow, that is something you would have to, and in history, from what I understand, I don't know if it's changed or not, but you can ask the UPPCC if this event, this show, how many hours could I offer? You'd have to go directly to them to be able to say, I can offer 1 contact hour, 2 contact hours.
Okay.
Yeah, NIGP does not manage that process, that back end of it.
Okay. So what about the NIGP CPP, since we do need to recert every 3 years?
Then you need to go directly to Diane Daly for that. Yep.
Sorry, you said CEU, but you said something certified.
IACET is actually the IACET. I think it's only 1 T, is actually the body that allows you to offer CEUs. And you have to, I think we pay a fee to belong to them. And then all of our content that we offer in our courses actually gets reviewed by them for us to be able labeled to offer CEUs.
Great. No, that's super helpful. Thank you for that clarification.
And then once you have your hours or points assigned or approved, then the person can go into their own profile and print out a transcript of their hours, because some of the certification agencies are requiring transcripts. So they can go into their points hours history and they can get a transcript just by clicking on the transcript button. And then they would send that over.
So Michael, we just launched this website like over a year ago, and we are very behind. I heard you say 90 days is the deadline to potentially grab that information. So now that we know we're that far behind, do we ask our members and send out something to say, hey, you need to mark yourselves out? Because that's the other thing. We do mark attendance after an event, but I don't believe we've allotted the points yet. We're behind on that. I don't know how we're going to start at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then really, it gets to be a challenge, because at this point, then you have to manually add points and hours for each member.
They can't do that themselves. Because I've seen somebody else do it. It has like their name on it, and I don't know how they did it as a member. Somebody was actually doing their thing, and I'm like, oh, that's nice of them. But
they can request hours.
Yeah,
they can request hours. Okay.
Yeah, if we go back into their profile here, they can click on add points and hours and request it.
Okay, that's how they were doing it.
I see what you're saying. Okay,
right,
yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I get it. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm caught up now.
No, this is good. This is good. Thank you so much. That's a lot of help there.
Michael, we have a question on how do you see who is registered for an event?
If we go into the events, let's go. Well, let's try this one. So this is the agency registration now. So if you want to see, if you go into the event admin panels and click on registrations and just hit search, you can see all the people who are registered and their current status. So are they paid? Yes. If there was a fee, obviously these aren't, what the registration type was. So you can get that, or if you want, if in the actual reports module, you can click on reports and you can get all kinds of different registration type reports. And even print out name tags if you want. And then you can also get an export. If you do exports, then you can get registration data, registrant data. And then you can choose, do you want all of it? Do you want to maybe eliminate canceled or not paid in time? And then you can export to CSV, the people who have registered for the event.
Also, when you're looking at this screen right here, where it just shows you the activities, it gives you the number of registered right there.
Oh yeah,
per
right here.
activity. Yeah, and
Yep.
that's sort of handy when you're just doing a quick peek.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah, sometimes if you don't look at the activities and you just look at the top level of who's registered, it'll show you the people that registered, but it won't show you a total count. So like, for instance, if I registered 4 other people with me, it'll show me, but it won't show the additional people if you're looking at the higher level. So always go to the activities.
Yeah. It'll also
Michael,
show you which activities are going to have people in the seats, as you get closer to the date of the event. And if it looks like, underwater Lithuanian folk dancing doesn't have any people registered for it, you can replace it with something else.
Michael, on the dashboard, on the stats dashboard data, does that information show up? Can you pull up your event registrations for your most recent event or something?
You're
Just
talking about the
curious.
control panel dashboard?
Yeah.
It's not.
It's
not
okay.
specific. Yeah, it's not specific by event.
Okay, just curious. Yep.
Yeah.
I don't see any hands raised. Any more questions? I don't know if there was, we also were going to cover one other thing. Michael, do we have time?
Yeah. We were Ronnie and I were kind of brainstorming. There's a couple of different ways to get people to volunteer to help out the chapter, right? We have the volunteering module, and then we also have committees. And one of the things that came up was, if you have open-ended opportunities for people to volunteer, let's say you want people to serve on the newsletter and help the chapter by putting together the newsletter. So create a committee that is the newsletter committee and add people to it. And then if you make it so that it's an open committee, I'll say newsletter committee, and let's say show list of members, and we'll say members can add and remove themselves. Then people can actually go to the committees module and let's say a button that they can volunteer, they can add themselves to the committee. Now you have a way to be able to communicate with these people because you can send an email blast out to members of this particular committee. You could even create a discussion group around people on this particular committee. You can do the same thing with document library folders that would be available only to people in this committee. So now they have a way to, share files and share communications and coordinate the development of the newsletter, all without you guys as the admins having to intervene. You know what I mean?
Hey, Michael.
So, yeah.
This is Gretchen. We had this issue with this being set up like that, and a gentleman signed up for many committees and nobody knew he had done that. So I think when they do this, you're not notified that they signed themselves up for a committee.
Right. Yep. Yeah. There's no like a committee person who gets notified of it. Correct.
Why is that? We have the same issue. And we're like, oh, somebody just showed up. How did I?
Yeah, I don't know. It's not because I don't know. It just never has been.
You should be notified. I mean, how do we know? Unless we're in there every day.
If that's the case, then what we can do, I'm going to cancel this. Just leave. What we could do then is create an interest group instead of a committee. And then the interest group itself would be, so we'll call this newsletter. And now we can specify that somebody gets notified. And so when somebody joins or leaves the newsletter interest group, then someone will actually get notified of that. And then they can still join. What they do is they go in through their profile then, and in their profile, they go to interests, and you'll see it on the list here. And they just literally check the box, say, I want to participate in the newsletter committee, and click save, and then boom, they're in it.
So if you were going to try to advertise this, how would you publicly push that out to your membership, right? Are you putting it on the home? Can you link directly to it from the home page, or?
You can, yeah. Yep, you
Yeah.
certainly can. Yep. And you can even make it part of the new member sign up too. So when people are signing themselves up, you can have interests as, you know, the one of the things they go through. It's not currently in this case, but it could be, you know, and then you can get people who are new members who are excited about joining the organization and maybe ready to jump in with both feet and help out the organization as well.
So this is great, Michael, because I actually ended up using the volunteer opportunities. I know you demoed it last time by saying the volunteer opportunities tab is really for an event, but I did not know about this interest, and I think this one fits better for that
Okay.
purpose.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
was still cool, but you know,
sometimes
this makes
there's
more
multiple
sense.
ways to do things, and you know, interest is great, I think, for people to just, because you can designate somebody to be responsible for that particular interest group, and then when people join or leave, then that person gets notified. And you still can email them. I think it's great. The volunteering module is an incredibly powerful module, but it's also limited in that it's not open-ended, right? So you have to have something that's got a defined start date and end date, and people will volunteer for time slots within those dates, as opposed to like just an interest where they say, yeah, I want to help out with a newsletter.
Okay.
Sort of like Sign Up Genius, if
Yeah.
anybody knows that,
Oh,
right? You're
okay.
picking a slot, right? So.
Right. Yep.
Okay. Michael, since you're talking about that, do you mind going to our webpage on YNIGP?
This one?
Yep. So
Yeah.
under contact, volunteer opportunities. Oh, sorry, you were like, I meant like on the external, not the back end. So
Oh,
contact
down here?
and then volunteer. Yep. Mhm.
Oh, okay.
So I
Got it.
built this based
Nice.
upon what I heard from you, but
Yeah.
I didn't realize about the interest. And I thought, hey, this is a great creative way to do this, because I all of a sudden have all these openings. So I thought I'd do it here. But I also see there's volunteer others, but I wasn't sure what that meant. So I just left it alone. But it looks like people can hit volunteer yourself here and
Yeah.
do
If
that.
you're allowing it, yeah, people can volunteer other people. So
Mhm.
you'll see that admins will see that a lot.
Okay. All right. So I may be able to do it in both places, but I do like the interest better. It seems like it's more fitting, because that's exactly what we need. We need to fill in some chair positions. And
Yeah.
this was my Band-Aid to get to, because I was demoing it at Summit.
Okay.
And also asking for interest. Cool. Awesome.
See, this is great if you have different positions that you need filled. Like if you need a committee chair, and then you need, you know, a treasurer for the committee, or you need a, you know, whatever, you know, positions filled, and you need people to sign themselves up for those different positions, then that works. And, you know, you got 2 slots for, you know, maybe it's an event and you need people to man the front table, you know, as people are coming in, you know, then you have defined slots, you have defined tasks, and this is a great tool for that.
Awesome. Great. Well, it was
Yep.
just fun to do it.
Yeah.
But I'll check out the interest one. Thank you so
I
much.
think this is a good idea too, but yeah, I think interests for this type of thing, interests might be easier to implement and
Correct.
easier for them to sign up.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. I look forward to this recording and listening to everything again.
Yeah, good.
Well, thank you, Michael. We have filled an hour, so we will be doing this again on the second Tuesday of April. So I will send out a reminder to everyone. And remember, Michael is actually coming to Forum. So if you guys are going to be in person at Forum, we will have sessions with Michael, and more information will be sent out about that. But
Yep.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you so much, Michael. And
You're very
we'll
welcome.
see everyone soon. Bye.
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.